Hi friends, welcome back. It's been a couple weeks since I recorded a video. I've been doing a lot of stuff, having a packed schedule, mostly good things, a lot of things that are kind of like in the works that I'm really excited to share. One of the really big ones is the Prioritize Play, a creative exploration workshop that I'm hosting in April is open for early enrollment. It's open right now. And this is going to be so much fun. I'm so excited about it. It's a 4-week exploration of your creativity. We're going to do a ton of exercises and have a lot of fun, use play to kind of tap into that creativity. And I'm going to talk through strategies about how to incorporate creativity into your daily life. Even if you have a day job, even if you don't think you're creative, even if you're burnt out, I think that I've been in all of those places and I have tips to help you. So that is open now. I'm really excited. It's been taking up a lot of my time kind of noodling on what that's going to look like. And so today's session, I wanted to gab, obviously, about the artist way because I recently finished it for the first time and it is one of the most impactful books I've ever read. I loved it and I want to just kind of talk through a few things. I've saved a lot of stuff in here and I thought maybe some of the tidbits might be helpful to talk about. Before I dive in, as always, please subscribe, like, comment, share if you're interested in doing those things. I'm really grateful you're here. I'm going to apologize in advance if my heat kicks on and is a little bit loud, or cars driving by, or the cat is currently eating. So I'm working on understanding what the technical parameters are of having a good quality YouTube video. Right now I'm just recording on my phone, but I think I'll probably get a little mic so at least you can hear me very clearly and maybe we can dim out some of the background noise. So with that, let me talk about this book. It's called The Artist Way, A Spiritual Path to Higher Creativity by Julia Cameron. I will link it in the description of the video. I bought this book several years ago after hearing, recommendations from folks to do it. And I remember trying to read it, and she uses God language. And I, at that time in my life, was very anti-religion, anti-God, anti-spirituality. Any sort of mention of God just instantly repulsed me. And so I couldn't get past that. But I didn't get rid of the book. It sat on my shelf. And I would say last year, around this time, the springtime, is when I have a lot of creative energy and I want to channel that into sort of a more disciplined practice. And I was talking with some various pals about how I wanted to start this program. So this book is a 12-week course basically on unblocking your creativity and living a more creative life. And a handful of folks said that they were interested in like being accountability buddies. So started a group chat, started it as it always happens when you have a bunch of people gung-ho about doing an event or a commitment like this. Several people dropped off, myself included. And then talking with one of my friends, we decided to start over, and she and I did the 12 weeks. It took us much longer than 12 weeks, but that feels okay, maybe a couple months longer. We didn't necessarily do one of the 12-week sections each week, and that's okay. I'm trying really hard to live in that gray area in my life. If something is too rigid, I will likely not follow through with it. So trying to allow that grace, that flexibility that, okay, I might not get week 10 done in 1 week. It might take me 2, and that's okay. And I'm really glad that I did it in this way because it was so impactful. I'm so excited and I want to immediately start it over again. I also feel like I needed it at the time that I read it, and I think that's why I was totally okay with taking a little bit longer than the 12 weeks that it suggests, because it's like every time I sat down to read that chapter and work on those exercises, I was like, wow, I really needed this in my life right now. And I've heard from a handful of other folks that this has also been true for them. Like maybe they bought it several years ago and they heard me talk about it, and now it is really resonating. And so if you've tried in the past and you're not ready to try again, that's okay. I think it will come to you at the time that is the most meaningful in your life. And last year was it for me. So I'm gonna start by reading a couple of things that I've saved in these tabs and just kind of talking about it. I'm not gonna go into the tasks. I'm not gonna go into kind of each chapter. I just wanna talk about some things that like helped me feel seen and helped me feel like, yes, it's valid that I want to pursue a more creative life. Okay, I had to pause because a tree trimming truck pulled up outside and was grinding trees. So, you know, the joys of making things from your home and not in a studio and not with any professional equipment. Okay, let's dive into this. So before I even got to the first week of the book, the course, I guess, there's an introduction kind of talking about creativity. And I saved so many things from this intro because it really was the perspective shift I needed. So this first section that I highlighted, no matter what your age or life path, whether making art is your career or your hobby or your dream, it's not too late or too egotistical or too selfish or too silly to work on your creativity. And I guess I really needed to hear that because I think a lot of times, especially women, we are taught in our society to kind of take care of other people's needs first, and then whatever's left over we can have for ourselves. And I've talked about this book called Burnout, The Secret to Unlocking the Stress Cycle, by Emily Nagoski, I think is the author, and I will link that one too. And she talks about that a lot in that book, about how we have this sort of societal expectation and role that we're expected to fulfill. And so especially for women, pursuing creativity or pursuing a non-traditional life path comes off to folks as egotistical or silly or, selfish. And definitely so many folks that I've talked to when I kind of started talking about creativity more have shared with me that, you know, they're like, it's too late for me. It's not. I'm 34 and I feel like I'm just getting started with kind of understanding my creative practice and curating this beautiful life that I want to live. And I can't wait to see what comes next. And it's never too late to change your mind. I think one of the beautiful things about being human is that we can constantly grow and change and learn and adapt, shift gears, whatever analogy you want to use, to make sure that we're living a fulfilling life for ourselves. And I think a lot of folks don't take the time to kind of understand what that dream life looks like. And so how can we ever reach our dreams or goals if we never take the time to allow ourselves to think of what they are? And I mean, I was in this camp a handful of years ago. I think I didn't really allow myself to think beyond, you know, getting a job and settling down. And now I don't do that. I mean, I have my job, but the life that I'm building for myself is full of creativity and socialization. And I'm not as focused on finding a partner. I don't want children. And I just want to live this big, beautiful life for myself. And I know now that it's not selfish. It's just me understanding what I want and need and working toward that. Okay, this next section. Many of us, kind of same vein of thought. Is that the right term? In the same vein? Yeah. This is why this one's called a GAB sesh, because I'm just kind of speaking out loud, not really doing any editing besides pausing when the tree trimming truck is outside. This next section that I underlined, many of us find that we have squandered our own creative energies by investing disproportionately in the lives, hopes, dreams, and plans of others. Their lives have obscured and detoured our own as we consolidate a core through our withdrawal process, which is what she talks about, kind of starting with like withdrawing from the practices that don't serve us and are blocking our creativity. We become more able to articulate our own boundaries, dreams, and authentic goals. And I think, it's very easy for me to say, oh, I can curate this beautiful life for myself because I don't have a partner and I don't have children. And I'm not caretaking for anyone. And so I recognize that it's not as easy for everyone as it is for me to kind of work toward living this big life that I want. But I do think that oftentimes women especially, we martyr ourselves. We do everything for everyone first. And then if there's any energy left, we take care of ourselves. And really it should be the other way around, right? Like you can't pour from an empty cup, as the saying goes. I think you have to understand what you want and work toward that and implement those boundaries and understand what your dreams are. And then once you're doing that for yourself, you can start to help other people get to their goals and dreams, but you can't do theirs first. And that is something as a recovering people pleaser that I still have a hard time with, especially when I'm in relationship. And I think it's something that I work on a lot in therapy, making sure that I'm not kind of giving up myself for other people, especially when they're not asking me to, but it's just in my nature. It's in a lot of women's nature, I think. Okay, this next section, how do you know if you're creatively blocked? And this paragraph is just like so good. So the first thing that she says is, jealousy is an excellent clue. Are there artists whom you resent? Do you tell yourself, I could do that if only ... And I needed to hear this. Number one, because there are so many times in my life that I've said, well, I could do that if only I went to art school, or I could do that if I had a partner that could help me pay the bills, or I could do that if I, had the time, because I have a day job, so I don't have time to paint a gallery full of paintings. And yeah, those are all true, but those are all excuses that I give myself and what I use to kind of like block my creativity and tell myself, well, I can't have that because I have a day job. And I mean, I think I'm a good example of you can have a day job and live a really big creative life. And I don't think that those excuses are necessarily valid. They're easy to rely on. And I'm speaking for myself here. It's easy to say, well, I didn't go to art school, so of course that person's more successful than me in their creative practice, when so many amazing artists that I know didn't go to art school, do art on the side, do things just for creative hobbies. And it's really, that's what this book is about, is like understanding those blocks that we're giving ourselves to our creative practice. And I think the jealousy one is a really good one. And I talk about this in the Dress for Yourself course, because I think when I started to recognize when I was feeling jealous or envious of a person, and then actively worked to switch my mindset away from that jealousy, I was able to kind of gain more confidence. And this is all, I talk about this in the course with respect to personal style, but I think it also matters beyond personal style, just creativity in general, where, for example, if I saw someone wearing an orange fur coat, and I say that because right behind the camera is my orange fur coat, and a handful of years ago, if I had seen someone wearing that, I'd be like, what is that person wearing? Why do they feel comfortable wearing that? They look stupid. And what I can see now, looking back and thinking something like that, is that I saw someone who was living authentically, and that made me uncomfortable, because I was like, well, I don't have permission to live authentically as myself. Like, why do they feel comfortable doing that? And that was so freeing to recognize. And you know, those thoughts still happen. I'm not saying that I'm judgment-free, perfect angel princess. But I think that, you know, you can recognize the judgment as it comes up as that first thought, that societal programming, right? And then if you work at it, you can say like, oh, hell yeah, that person is really, you know, living as themselves. They don't care what anyone else thinks. And when you start to applaud that behavior, that authentic expression, you start to, at least I did, I started to remove the thought of what other people were thinking about me, which helped me to really kind of put the blinders on and understand, what do I want to wear? What do I feel my best in? It doesn't really matter what other people think, or if it's flattering, or if it's on trend, or if my color analysis says that it doesn't go with my skin tone. I'm an anti-color analysis person. Not anti. For myself, I'm anti. I think that I don't want boundaries. This is really, we're going on a side quest now. I don't want boundaries of someone else telling me like what looks good or looks flattering on me. I also understand that for some people, you do need a baseline. You need a set of parameters to work within. And so if you have done a color analysis and you found benefit in that, that is awesome. I will never do one. And I'm just going to buy colors that I feel great in, and whether or not they wash me out, that's fine. If I feel awesome, that's all that matters to me. And so, you know, coming back from the side quest, that was a pretty quick one, to this topic of jealousy, I think that this is something that we can really use as a tool for reflection. And now I would say, like, my initial judgments come less about what people are wearing and more about like people that look happy in their relationships, for example, because I am single. And so, you know, I'll see a cutie couple that like I see myself in, and I'll be like, wow, they look happy. There must be something wrong with them, or they are probably boring and that's why they found each other. And those are kind of those judgments coming up because I'm triggered, because I'm like, wow, I would love to have a partner that, you know, sees me fully and we look so cute together at the coffee shop. So I think jealousy and envy are amazing tools, but you have to be aware of them. You have to notice when they come up and force yourself to think like, why does this bother me? Why am I bothered by this person? What is this telling me about myself? And that's hard, but it can be done. Okay, so I'm gonna end, because I've really been gabbing a while, on this list of questions. So, do you tell yourself that I could do that if only? I talked about that. Do you tell yourself that if only you took your creative potential seriously, you might stop telling yourself it's too late? Stop waiting until you make enough money to do something you really love. Stop telling yourself it's just my ego whenever you yearn for a more creative life. And yearning is such a good indicator. And I love that word because it's just exactly what I felt like 5 years ago. I was just yearning for something more, for something bigger. And now I can look back and see that I was yearning for a creative life. And I was pushing that creativity down, trying to just do my engineer job and feel good and fulfilled by that. And it's just not enough for me. I need more. I need creative hobbies. I need really deep, fulfilling friendships. And I have to have the freedom to put time and energy into those things. And I was yearning for that without being able to articulate it. I talked about that in the last video, I think. Stop telling yourself that dreams don't matter, that they're only dreams, and that you should be more sensible. Stop fearing that your family and friends will think that you're crazy. Stop telling yourself that creativity is a luxury and that you should be grateful for what you've got. And I think all of these things were so spot on for how I'm feeling. And if she wrote this book and I'm feeling this way, I can only imagine that so many other folks are feeling this way. You know, I think the more sensible thing is something that I think about a lot. You know, it's hard to want to say, well, once I have enough money saved, that's when I'll start to do this particular hobby because it's expensive. Or once I get to a point in my career that I can go part-time, that's when I'll start to do this hobby, or I'll wait till I retire. Like, why are we waiting to pursue more pleasure in our lives? There's never going to be a good time. I think that now is the only good time. And that's what I'm going to talk about in this workshop. I'm going to talk about, strategies to be able to implement creativity practices into your busy schedule, because it has been so rewarding now that I've kind of turned my direction of life, I guess, like understanding what the dreams I have for myself, which are basically to have the freedom to be able to do my creative little projects whenever I want, to have amazing, fulfilling, deep relationships in my life. And I have those things. And there's, of course, things I'm working toward. I would love to continue to travel and try new classes, and maybe someday add a second bathroom to my home. But if I say, I can't spend any money on art supplies because I'm saving for this second bathroom, I might be doing that for the rest of my life. And instead, every day is lovely. I mean, not every day is lovely, because that's not how real life works. But most days are lovely because I am doing some sort of creative play in them. So I'm going to stop there. We got this far into the tabbed sections of this book, but like I said, I will link it in the description, and we're going to do some of the exercises in the Prioritize Play workshop, which I'll also link. And I would love to hear your thoughts on this GAB sesh of, it's never too late, and creativity should be an integral part of your life, not something that you do when you feel like you finally have reached a point that you have flexibility. And of course, I'm talking about this from the perspective of, I'm single, I don't have children, I don't have people that I'm taking care of, but I think that there are ways to do that too, because we have to be able to take care of ourselves. And for me, taking care of myself means having that creative fulfillment. So I hope you have a great rest of your day, whatever day you're watching this on. And again, if you feel so inclined to subscribe, like, comment, share, I would love that. And would love to hear what you want me to gab about next. I'm kind of thinking that the format I want to go in is either a GAB sesh like this or the last video, some kind of tour, like talking about a particular topic. I still really want to do an art tour in my home because people have asked for that, but I'm waiting until I finish my bedroom update, and I'm hoping that I finish this weekend, and I'll do a tour of that for sure. And then sort of a tip section, like packing tips, like I did for packing for Paris. And I've got some upcoming trips planned that I could potentially talk about packing again, or just style tips, stuff like that. So would love to hear what you would like to see from me. Thanks for being here. Have the best day.